My next guest is a former professional football player. You know I like football, never played football. I'm one of them couch potato people. Boy, I always say, boy, if I was out there, I could tackle him. Boy, if I was out there, I could make that catch. Boy, if I was out there, I'd score that touchdown. That's Rushion McDonald. No skill for it, but a lot of mouth for it. He's an author, speaker, and now marriage and family therapist intern. He's created a personal and social development program called KING, that's King, program for incoming freshman males at Texas Southern University. That's my city, Third Ward, Texas, as we call it back there in Houston. Please welcome to Money Making Conversation for the very first time, Jay Barnett.
Hey, Sean, thank you for having me on, brother.
How you doing there, Jay?
Man, I'm doing well, man. Blessed this morning, man. Blessed.
Well, you have to say I have to say blessed because I got you on the air. This is a show that I started almost a year and a half ago, and the rise of this show and the popularity of this show has caught me off guard. And to have the quality of guests like you on the show lets me know I'm doing the right thing. And in your life, you know, being a professional football player and an educated professional football player, do you carry the badge of being a former professional? What do you carry that badge in your life, being a former professional football player?
It all depends on the setting, and depends on the group that I'm in. You know, it's a privilege to be, to have been part of such a, an elite society, and just having, had that experience.
Yes, sir.
But I think more importantly is what I've learned to sort of hold the badge that I wear now as a family therapist, as an author, and as a speaker. Because, I mean, as you know, football is still a game. It's entertainment.
Yes, sir.
And I mean, of course, it's been a blessing to a lot of guys' lives to bless their families and their livelihoods. But for me, it's been about, leaving something or creating something that can be very beneficial to those either that are here or those that are coming behind me. And so that's sort of the badge that I've learned to embrace because, you see a lot of athletes, man, they are hold to what they used to do and who they used to be. Nothing wrong with that. But that was just a very small segment of my life.
Right.
And the life after that has been much more, grand than that part.
But I tell you, it's special, though, to say you played in the National Football League because that's the number one sport in America, and so that's probably a great entry point to some opportunities for opens up doors for you. Am I correct?
Oh yeah, absolutely. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, opened up a lot of doors, and even though I didn't, have the career that I wanted, and just having that opportunity, and then just being able, to play arena ball and just to, be, just to have that experience of a professional athlete was really, a great opportunity. And then, as America and just people, we love athletes, we love
Yes.
the champion spirit, we love the warrior mentality, and so most definitely it opened up doors. But also, in opening up those doors, the education component has allowed me to stay in the rooms that the doors are open up to and to be able to grab the attention of people. So being able to have that balance and being able to be seen as an athlete, educator, thought-provoking leader, all of that intertwined together, it's just really a powerful combination.
It was really interesting when I talk to individuals who have generated their early stages of success due to their physicality, because there's a period when that cannot support you anymore.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? Because you can only play football for so long, you can only run fast for so long, you can only dunk a ball for so long. Like I was reading that Vince Carter, he wants to come back one more year, and he's not the Vince Sanity when he came out was dominating and hitting 3-pointers from half court. When it was time to end your successful run as a physical athlete, as a physical generating your income, what decisions did you have to run through your mind to say, hey, it's time to move on, it's time to disconnect?
Well, for me, it was kind of like the decision was made for me because the opportunity wasn't there. For me, the physical part of it, that I was in shape.
Yes, sir.
I was talented and I was an athlete, but, at the time, Green Bay wanted to go a different direction.
Right.
I think, at that point, I had other opportunities to go work out and, to try out. And, I remember having a phone call with my agent, like, okay, well, you can go play Arena League. And then at the time they had NFL Europe. So, then, went through that process and then, went through the process of going to the Canadian League. And I think for me, man, emotionally, I was just tired because at that point, you're trying to figure out, do you keep chasing this dream? And at some point, I think the majority of the athletes, whether they had the career or not, or then if, let's say they got there and they played a few years and something happened, they got hurt and they got out and they was trying to get back in, eventually the dream feels like a nightmare.
Right.
You know what I mean? And so you have to have, as they say, that come to Jesus conversation talk. Make a decision, man. Like, because at the time I was like 24, 25 years old. So it's like, dude, you know how it is in football, man. You're old, you know what I'm saying, at like 27, 28 years old. So, and as you, alluded to, your body has an expiration date on it. So you can only jump, run, and do all those different things for so long.
Right.
And eventually you have to make a decision to move on. And that's really hard for a lot of men. And you see guys hold on as long as they can because, to be honest with Sean, many of us, man, many of us, we didn't prepare for the after. You know what I mean? We got there, and it's just like, oh snap, this is not going to be for long because
Absolutely.
As men, we
Absolutely.
put our eggs all in one basket. I never forget having this conversation with this guy that played for the Browns, and at the time we're working on creating this coalition on this program for athletes who are either 2 to 3 years removed or guys that are just coming into the league to sort of help them get their mind right. And he was a white guy. He said the difference between white players and black players, he said, when I came into the league as a businessman who was playing football. And he said the majority of the black players come into the league as football players trying to do business. And so that disparity, man, just opened up my eyes. And I'm just like, man, that's so real. Mm-hmm. And for them, it's really a job. You know what I mean? It's like they show up, it's not an all or nothing for them. Mm-hmm. There's life after. And for many of the African-American players, it's like either this happened or, it's back to, square one. And I think when you look at players like Vince Carter, who's been blessed to have a tremendous career, mm-hmm. I mean, he's going to always be remembered as Vince Sanity, and then, those iconic
dunks
and dunks and all of those things. And I think at this point, Vince probably like most of us as men, you enjoy the camaraderie, you enjoy mm-hmm. the brotherhood, right. You mm-hmm. enjoy the locker room. Right. Whether you're in the Army, man, or whether you're in a fraternity, I think it's just something that we have come to embrace as men, because for us, it's not really. Of course, at this point, we know it's not about a championship because Vince is not trying to link up with the Warriors or anything. He just wants to play,
right?
And I think that's probably has helped him mentally. But many men, their decision is going to be determined by either their preparation for the after, or it's going to be determined by them not preparing for the after. So,
and I think that's what's happening with him. I don't think he's decided an exit plan. I know that right. He built this amazing foundation for his brother, and because he understood his path for his brother, but he hadn't figured it out for himself. And so when I brought you on the show, one of the keys for when I was like, see, people see athletes with a defined purpose, and you hear that, and people and commentators, even in sports, I don't care if it's baseball, football, or basketball, they always articulate a white athlete and a black athlete differently. They'll say things like intelligence. They'll say with black athlete athleticism, and so it's not as bad as it used to be, because at certain times in football, a center had to be white, a middle linebacker had to be white, a quarterback had to be white, because they felt those were the positions of intelligence on the football field. And we don't see that play out as much nowadays, because it's about money, it's about putting the best product, quote, quote, on the field. but it did translates into the corporate structure where you don't have general managers, you don't have presidents, and things like that. So that's what he was just saying about the business. Until they started looking at athletes in general as potential intellectuals or intellectual equals, and not just at their speed or how many reps they can do at 225 pounds, then we always fail. And that's why I admire you are able to make that separation, because the fact that is that we all have to make a decision, whether it's a job, whether it's a relationship, we all have to wake up one day with a plan of exit. And you created an exit plan and you built a foundation that's been very, very successful, and more than that, impacting our next generation. And that's what a lot of people don't do, because they only impact what I would tell people: athletes are working wealthy. Once they stop playing, the wealth leaves. And if you don't understand that, then guess what? You're caught up in suddenly into bankruptcy. You're caught up to being a failure. And so, in our next break, I really want to get into the book that I read this weekend. Hello King, Claim Your Throne by Jay Barnett. And I love him because he's been residing in Houston, and I think Houston, Texas, is the greatest city in America. I know he's eating at some of my popular places, but we're gonna talk about this book because he's turning around one of my favorite schools, Texas Southern University in Third Ward, Texas. Be back more with Jay Barnett. Hi, this is Rushion McDonald. You're listening to Money Making Conversation. On the phone is my guest. He's a former professional football player turned author, speaker, and now marriage and family therapist. He was residing in Houston, Texas. Now he's in Dallas, and we're going to talk about that move. But more importantly, I brought him on the show to talk about get everybody a sense that there has to be a decision made at so many different levels in your life when you have to plan the next step. One of the things that people always say that I'm very good at reinventing myself, because I understand there is a limit to that success path. I always realize that, if you're going to live the life you're going to live, I know I'm not going to live as old as the people in the Bible, but I plan on living a long time. Okay. My goal is not to retire at 65. So that means that my path for success, my dreams are going to be extended beyond 65. And so when I talk to Jay Barnett, he lets me realize that the principle that he applied as an athlete can be applied to everyday people, whether you're in business, whether you're male or female. And this situation is male. Hello, King, Claim Your Throne by Jay Barnett. Jay, why did you write this book?
Well, Sean, I wrote that book because I had so many challenges as a teenager and struggles after my parents' divorce. And I just, it was just very difficult for me to have any direction because I didn't really have a sense of identity. And so I wrote this book for young men to develop and to discover and a sense of identity, but by providing them this blueprint that I created and this blueprint that I had to follow. And so by doing that, I've shared some of my stories, some of my life triumphs, pitfalls, some of my darkest moments. And wanted these young men to understand who they are. I believe that a name sort of predetermines, the expectation of what a thing or what an individual is to become. And that's why the title is Hello King.
Right.
And wanted to address them as I see them, but also wanted them to see themselves as a king as well.
Cool. Now, the King program for incoming freshman males at Texas Southern University, which is in Houston, Texas, right down the street from my alma mater, University of Houston. Tell me about that King program. And you identified that each letter in the word King means something, K-I-N-G.
Yes, sir. The King program, the acronym is Knowledge is Necessary Gain. When the Dean of Student Academic Services, when they reached out to me and said, hey, Jay, we have a large group of young black males who come to TSU every year, and many of them are looking for guidance. Many of them are first generation college students.
Right.
And so, they've been following my work for a number of years, and they said, can you create something to sort of help develop them, and prepare them for college? Because many of them don't understand with college, you have to learn how to budget time. You have to learn how to study efficiently, build profitable, relationships. And so with the program, it's a personal self-development. We start with emotional healing. I think that's very important for young black males that are coming in because I want them to have a sense of control within themselves.
Right.
We go into professional development, how to speak. We have an academic component where we bring in tutors to work with these guys. We take them on little tours around the city. We take them on, to expose them in front of other successful African-American males. We bring in therapists. And so it's really an awesome program that we had a great success last year. And I'm happy to announce that we will be back for the 2019 and 2020 school year.
Well, I will tell you this, sir. If you need Rushion McDonald to help you when you bring it back, please let my staff know, and I'll put it on my schedule because, like I said, I was born in Houston and went to high school in Houston, graduated from college in Houston. I still have a home in Houston, so you don't have to fly me down or put me up. And I'll be there for you, Jay, okay?
Yes, sir. All right, I'm going to hold you to that, brother.
You don't have to worry about that, brother. It won't be a hard hold. Now, I want to reach out to a couple of things that stood out for me in your book, Hello King, Claim Your Throne by Jay Barnett. It was under the chapter, You Have a Purpose. And I hear the word purpose used a lot in motivation. I hear the word purpose used a lot when people say to claim your dream or follow your dream. And you had this that stood out to me. Live your purpose. Purpose is the reason something was created. Purpose is the intention behind creation. King, the power of God, created you intentionally for a specific reason. What do you mean by that?
So what I mean by that is when you look at everything that is here on the earth, from a tree all the way down to an insect, nothing God created didn't have a purpose or didn't serve a purpose.
Right.
And so when you look at everything that he created, it was always in the benefit for something else. When you look at every seed has the potential of a forest. And so when I think about the seed has a purpose. We look at a seed as if, it's just a seed, but it really, the purpose that it serves is to replenish the earth with trees, whether that translated to paper or to buildings and all those things. And so what I wanted to echo to those young men was that they were born for a reason, and to know that they have a purpose, meaning that there is intent why they are here, that they're not here just by happenstance. I don't believe God just placed people here just to be here. And so I wanted to convey that to them, that everything that he created has a purpose, there's a reason, that, that there's intent, for you to be here.
Positive intent. And that's the key.
Right, positive intent. Because many times, when you look at some of our young men that I've mentored and spoken with, a lot of them don't feel that they have a purpose, meaning that they don't know that they have a reason to live. So, they are more attracted to whether it's a fast life or whether it's, the street life or whether it's just basically, many of them have already committed suicide in their minds because they feel like I have nothing to live for. And so what I wanted to do is to help these young men to understand that I don't know what that is for you. Maybe that's, whether it's becoming a doctor or, an entertainer or whatever that is. I wanted them to know that, man, there's a reason why you're in existence.
Really powerful. I want to ask you a question in the title, Hello King, Claim Your Throne, because I've seen throne used in several of your books. What do you mean when you say throne? Claim your throne. What is your perception of a throne?
My perception of a throne is claim your position, and claim your position in this earth, claim your position in your community, claim your position in the job place, in the school, wherever you reside. Claim your position, and your position is what you represent. Where's your stakes planted, and wanted them to know that your throne represents your territory, which is your mind, body, and spirit. Claim your position in those three elements, because those three elements determines how you're going to be remembered. It determines your decision. It determines your behavior. It determines the generation that's within you, either through your children, or it determines the generation that you want to affect. So if we can get these young men to claim their position, like you hear often when there's discussions about black men in the black community, people are often said if black men would just take their place. if
Right.
they would just, you know what I mean? So if they would just find their position. And so for me, it's just like, hey, man, claim your throne, man. Get in position whatever that is for you. Get in position. You know what I'm saying? And that's what I meant in
Yeah.
terms of that aspect.
Yeah, because I know it has a defined different meaning for everyone, and it was very important in the title of your book. And I wanted people to understand that, when that term means something, that adjective, that description means something. It's important to understand that, especially when you use the word purpose in your book. Now I know you're not in Houston anymore. You moved to Dallas. Explain why you're in Dallas now. I know it's for a good thing, but I always let everybody know that Jay Barnett is always on the move. He's always doing something innovative. Talk about the Dallas move.
So I've been in grad school. This is my third and final year, thank God.
Congratulations.
So, thank you. So finishing up my internship as a marriage and family therapist, and I've been in Houston. I was in Houston 10 years, and then I was in Atlanta for one, and came back to Houston, and I was speaking at an event, and I've been in probably 6 months just looking for a practice to work at, and got an opportunity to come to Dallas and to work up here at a private practice, which is also Black-owned, by a guy named Ricky Siddall. And I'm just grateful for the opportunity. He and I are the only two Black male therapists in the area.
Wow.
Out of Frisco, Texas, man. And it's been a blessing. Just the number of lives that, I've been able to impact and to be able to help people navigate through certain issues and certain difficulties, whether it's emotional or mental issues and all sorts of other mental disorders. And so I'm here in Dallas, and we're looking to establish the King program here as well. But as always, Houston gave me my start, so I will always be indebted to Houston, man. So I think we're actually going back in a couple of weeks, speaking at North Forest High School. So anytime that I'm in Houston, people know to reach out to me, and I don't mind donating my time and going out, speaking to the kids, because when I started not only the King program, but the Me Project and writing books, Houston embraced me as their own, and I've just been very grateful to, the city and just, the people that have really just sort of surrounded themselves around my mission.
I'm going to tell you something, Jay. I want to thank you for coming on the show. North Forest, see, that's where I grew up in, Forest Brook High School, Smiley. So that's where you're going to speak. So I just know he's connecting. Texas Southern right down the street from my alma mater, University of Houston. So I know our relationship is going to continue in a big way. But go out and buy this book called Hello King, Claim Your Throne by the very talented Jay Barnett. He's not letting the sport of professional football define him. He's letting his life and the people who he can impact change his life. Jay, come back on my show, brother.
Yes, thank you, Rushion. I appreciate the opportunity, King.
All right, my man. And back to you, King.